Welcome to another Blender tutorial. Today we are going to be adding some textures onto our robot, and we're going to hopefully start animating either this episode or next episode. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So basically I'm just going to select one of these support plates down here and press / to go to the isolated view, and then go ahead into shading. So I put together this texture right here following a tutorial by Ducky3D. He is really good at making Blender tutorials to make basic scenes. So after you're done with this and finish his course, you can go check him out for more complicated stuff. But basically what this is a scratches material. So now, as you see, it looks like we have scratches all over our metal here. So basically how you make this is it's pretty simple. You go ahead into the shader or the shading tab and just press new material, and then you're going to be shown this principal BSDF right here and the material output. So what you do here is you just press Shift A and then search, and then go ahead and search for all the components I'm about to tell you. So here we have a bump node, so you can just place it in like this and connect the normal to this normal right here, and then you add in a color ramp, making sure the color is connected to the height. And then basically what you want to do with the slider is kind of pull it towards the end right about here. You won't really see anything from this until we start adding these nodes here, but just make it look kind of like this. So next we're going to add in a noise texture, and basically you can leave this mostly alone for now, and if the noise texture looks slightly different to you, maybe you don't have this roughness right here, don't worry, it's okay, you won't need it for this. It's because in Blender 2.83, the noise texture node was updated with this roughness slider right here. You won't need to have the roughness slider to follow along with this part, but you might want to go ahead and update Blender. That way, when we start rendering in the final episode, you're able to render faster because of some of the updates. So after noise texture, we have the Voronoi texture, and we're just going to plug in the distance to the vector, and you can leave all this stuff alone here, except this drop down on the bottom, you want to change it to Minowski. After that, you want to add in a mix RGB node and connect the color to the vector, and then add in a Voronoi node, connect the color to color 1 on the mix RGB, and then you're going to add a texture coordinate node. This basically tells all the textures where the object is. So you're going to take the object and connect it to the vector on the Voronoi texture, and you're going, excuse me, and you're going to connect the texture coordinate of the object, and you're going to also add in another one of these and connect it to the color too. So basically you want to, instead of having just one strand, you want to have these two strands, one going to the vector here and another going into the mix. And then you should get something kind of looking probably like this. You can change the scale of this right here to get fewer or less scratches. And basically why we need this is so that if you were to kind of pull it side to side, you see we get these different patterns, and it'll look easier if we add in a sphere right here and go ahead and give it a material. We just shade it smooth so you can understand a little better. Here we are. Let's see if I can make it a little easier for you to see. There we go. So we have all of these right here, So those are kind of like our scratches, but this, what it's doing is basically only using this right here, this Voronoi texture, but we also want to be using this Voronoi texture connected to this noise texture to get these kind of patterns right here. So what you do is basically kind of give it a little bit of both. That's way too much for scale, so I'm going to bring that down. So what it's doing is it's kind of adding those patterns, but confining them to kind of these spaces and keeping the line straighter instead of like these kind of artistic curves. So you can go over here to your noise texture and change the detail for thinner lines, or you can have less detail for the thicker lines. I'm going to keep it pretty thin. And then over here, basically for your color ramp, is you're basically showing how many scratches are going to show up. So all of this crazy mess, or basically the smallest scratches and fractures, but basically we're going to keep it pretty low so that it's kind of, there we go, it's not too obvious. And of course I'm going to go over here, go ahead. The sphere wasn't necessary, it was just so I can show you guys kind of the why all these nodes work. But basically this is what you need to focus on, so you can bring this in to get rid of some of the scratches. Probably go over here and then change the scale, and let me just see how that looks. I'm going to go ahead and take this and the light, bring the light down here, and then go into this right here, render view, and just see how it looks with the light. So you can kind of see the scratches. So basically you're going to be seeing the scratches when it catches the light, and it's going to give that nice effect. So that's pretty good. So I'm just going to go over to layout, and now we are over here, and I just basically want to give this texture to everything, but it kind of blends in with the light from certain angles. So what I'm going to do is just for a second take this S slider and just put it all the way so we get this kind of bright red, and that's just to tell me, okay, where is this texture? So go ahead and select all of the metallic parts of your 3D model and just go ahead and give them the kind of the scratch texture, the procedural scratch texture. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Take all of this, add it to here, 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 a few more here, and then we have to go over here and quickly run through all of these. The hooks, don't forget the hooks. I'm just touching this drop down right here and selecting the material we made. Go ahead, got this canister right here. This already has material, so that's good. And then go ahead and get these axles right here. Oops. Yeah, select all of this. So now all of these are going to have some nice scratches, because in reality nothing's actually perfect. We have all these imperfections and objects and colors, so that's something you have to know to kind of master in 3D modeling. So next what we're going to do is just take the S slider and get rid of it, and now we have this metallic color that when it catches the light, it gives us this very nice, it's going to give us this nice kind of scratch, but right now because of the low sample count you can't really see the scratches with all the noise. Let me just go ahead and hide that right there. And just for the sake of this, I'm just going to turn on this right here, and you can see some scratches farming around here, although because of YouTube's, because of the fact that it's going to compress the image, you might not be able to see it, but that's basically, we're good to go. Don't mind what I did over here, we're not going to get there yet, but basically, just go here, and I'm just going to make sure everything's looking good. For the wheels, I am going to just leave them white, but you can add any color you want to. Just press new and add in a color, but I'm not going to give them a color just because I really don't need to, and you can give them a color if you want. But basically, that's going to probably be all for this video, and in the next one, I'm going to show you some basic animating tips, and you can go ahead and start animating your robots. And then the final video, we're going to be showing you how to basically make a animation on the rendering aspect of it, so how to render it out and everything, and I'll see you in that episode. But until then, I will see you guys later, and have a good one.